booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you, Adam, for your time. This is a
Thank
really
you.
complex, interesting role that you have here before us.
Yeah.
When you first read about, we're introduced to Mark, and he's working for this corporation that, as part of his functions, his off work life and his at work life are two separate beings. Can those two things coexist in a meaningful way for Mark as he goes through this journey of working in this place with these two separate lives, in a sense?
Yeah. Well, I guess, you have to go back to the reason he's doing this crazy thing. The reason he got severed in the first place is because in his life in the outside world, he's grieving his wife who died a couple of years ago, and he just hasn't been able to move on at all. And rather than figuring out how to move on, he decided a couple of years ago, about 6 months after his wife passed away, to get severed. So every day he goes to this place where once he crosses the threshold of this job he has, he switches off, and then he's immediately leaving at the end of the day and driving home. So his day is basically waking up, going to work, and then immediately driving home and going to bed. So there are 8 hours or so a day where he just doesn't have to feel anything. He doesn't have to feel this pain that he just can't escape. And he's become comfortable with this existence. This is what he's decided to do for the rest of his life. He just doesn't want to sit around and miss his wife all day. And his life has just sort of been shattered. Whereas in the Mark on the inside is someone who is, for all intents and purposes, just a couple of years old, has no knowledge of any of this in the outside world. Yet he's in a sort of a stasis of his own. He's much more innocent, but he works at a place where he doesn't know why he's there. He doesn't know what this work is he's doing all day, what the end result of it is, but he's choosing not to question it and just stay the course. And both of these sides of Mark are being confronted by someone, and that their respective apple carts are sort of being upset around the same time. And this stasis that they've both grown comfortable with may or may not last.
What's fascinating to me about this, usually when you see a project like this, the people are almost like clones. Everyone's got the same
Right.
personality, but there's so many varieties with the co-workers, with Irving and Helly and Dylan and all these
Yeah.
people who around Mark, they're all very different and very unique. Why do you think they're able to coexist, although they're all there for their own reasons of being severed? But why do you think they're able to coexist in an environment like this, given that they're all so vastly different?
It's a really good question. I think that that when you wake up in the severed floor of Lumon, it's almost like you're just a blank slate. And this is how Lumon sees it: is that this is a blank slate that they can then mold and tell you what you're doing there, the reasons you're there, and just sort of hopefully mold someone that will be perfectly okay with this place. Other than that, just individual personalities will emerge and be what they are. Whether or not it's completely different than their outside self or not, I guess it as far as Lumon is concerned, that's just something that will emerge, and they'll figure it out. But I think their main objective is just to control these people enough that they'll be okay with this. And then Helly comes along, and she's kind of not okay with it. And I think it's the first time that any of them have really experienced someone putting their hand up and asking some tough questions about what it is they're doing there.
For sure. Well, I thank you. I was riveted. I appreciate your time and your
cool.
performance. Thank you for chatting with me
Thank
today.
you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you all. This series is something else. I mean, it is fascinating. And I think we all aspire to keep our personal lives and our work lives separate, but not to this degree, my goodness.
Oh.
Britt, beginning with you for Helly, it's like all these assignments are voluntary, you know, they accept this position, but she seems to have to buck at the system to the most. And usually in an environment like this, people are kind of like cogs, you know, they all have very similar personalities, but not Helly. Why does she why is she so anti the system that you can disclose as we wait for the season to start?
Yeah, well, Helly wakes up on an office table having no idea who she is or where she came from and why she's there. I think she just has this instinctive knowledge in her body that something is off about this company. And I think the other characters might have experienced that as well when they first woke up on that same office table. But she's representing for the audience what it feels like for the first time to go through that visceral experience. And what I love about her is that she's a natural rebel and becomes this office disruptor, really calling into question the nature of their work, who they are on the outside, and the ethics of being kept somewhere against one's will.
Zach, for Dylan, he just is kind of like, you know, it's a check. You know, I come to work every day. Is he turned off by the system? Does he just not care? He just has a very apathetic approach to whatever they've got going on at this company.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, all the characters kind of cope with it in their own way. He's been around a little longer than Helly, but he is one of the newer people there. So I think at this point he is kind of like, this is my job. What else am I going to do? You know, I could freak out. I'm probably not going to solve the problem, so I might as well do as well as I can and earn the little perks that they give. And he kind of just chooses to buckle down, and he has questions, and he kind of doesn't fully buy into maybe some of the like religious elements, but he's kind of like a "what are you going to do about it" approach.
Mm-hmm. And John, for Irving, as the most tenured employee there, he takes it very seriously. Usually it's the flip for a person who starts a job. They're serious at first, and then as they learn the lay of the land, they just kind of kick back and do whatever. But that's not the case with him.
Well, you know, I think the writer explained to me where he would be coming from. So I think he comes from a very disciplined background where you are part of a bigger machine, and you have to be disciplined and a rule follower. And then we discover that. And I think that during the course of it, you see how his way of coping is sort of rocked, because there's all these other emotions that are inside of him, that there's all this longing to connect with another human being, which happens when he connects with the character of Bert, played by Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm. Well, I need coworkers like you guys, because I love that everybody wasn't just a cog. Everybody was kind of an independent thinker to a certain extent. Thank you guys for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing the reactions, because this was something else. Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for your time. It is truly a pleasure to talk about this really, really unique show. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all most people aspire to keep their at-home life and their work life separate, but this is to an extreme. Patricia, beginning with you for Peggy, she has to have a level of disconnection other than her private and personal life to even work in a place like this and sort of supervise these people. What was the most intriguing thing about this character, and can those two things can they not coexist and have a fully formed person, your personal life and your professional life?
Well, the weird thing about my character is she actually grew up in this corporation. And so for her, there is no work-life balance. Her whole life, her family, her concept of her relationships, her value system, her sense of self-worth is this corporation. And she is completely in servitude to this corporation. and is doing things on the outside of that to try to earn her place, to be a vanguard in this corporation, to bring them more honor, even though they don't think they want it or completely understand it. So weirdly, my character, she would have nowhere else to go. This corporation is her everything. And that's why even when she goes home at night, she fills her night up with this corporation, work in service of this corporation.
Tramell, for Milchick, that character was so interesting to me because you have the most beautiful smile and it's so welcoming and warm, but at the same time, it's very sinister too. So it became a place of kind of, a little bit frightening for me. What is it like to play a role where it gives the impression of warmth, but there really is no warmth behind it?
It's really fun. It's it's exciting, because Milchick really taps into all these different ways of being and these ways of manipulation. So it challenged me to be able to think about his intention and think about what he wants from each individual person. So to be able to smile at one moment and then pull back the smile a little bit and narrow the eyes and tilt the head just a little slightly, all of that to keep this balance off kilter is a wonderful technique that I've feel that he picked up from Miss Cobel, and two, a great exercise in establishing control.
Well, I think also humor or warmth or a smile can disarm people.
Mm-hmm.
And it also protects him from his own true emotions also. It's like, oh, this is what the work experience is supposed to be like. And it's friendly, but you just did something wrong. So, hey, now you're going in the break room. But it's so confusing where you ever stand. It's like the ground beneath you in this corporation is a shifting sand and you never know where you are.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And this is the emotional verbal language these guys have been taught for a long time.
It is fascinating. I appreciate both of your time. I could talk about it for a while, but that's my time. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed
Thanks
both
for
of you
having us.
tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.